And our next guest joins me in studio, Mr. Mike Manahan. He's a spokesperson for First Global Financial Corporation. FGBF's the stock symbol. Mike, good to see you again.
Thanks. Always a pleasure to be here.
Well, Mike, we've been talking about what your folks are involved in, your business model. What I want to kind of do is kind of go back to the beginning when we first spoke with you about a month ago. Your company is seeking out real estate that's owned by banks or foreclosures, and you're acquiring these. So kind of give us the whole business model again, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. The business model is fairly straightforward. Right now in the United States, we have a tremendous amount of distressed real estate. This is what everybody's been talking about. These homes that have been foreclosed on, the home goes back to the bank tries to sell it at auction. A lot of these auctions are unsuccessful. The properties don't sell. Now what does the bank do? The bank doesn't want to be in the business of holding this real estate. They've got no way of managing it. They've got no way of controlling what goes on with it. So what they do is they liquidate it. It's a fire sale. And for the savvy investor who can pick these properties up, there's an opportunity to pick up properties at substantially below actual market value for these properties.
Well, you know, before the real estate market hit the bubble, so to speak, I mean, there were properties, and we'll use the number 100,000 to make it easy. There were properties that were probably had a real market value of $100,000 that were inflated by the market conditions to well over $300,000. Some people bought these homes at $300,000, maybe didn't even qualify for the mortgage. As push came to shove, they couldn't make the payments. The house was foreclosed on. Now the bank can't even get the $100,000 for the property. Is that an accurate description?
You know, real estate's not a perfect market. There's always opportunity in the real estate market. It goes up and it goes down. But the time to be buying real estate is when there's lots of inventory available, because price is going to be a function of, you know, back to old economics 101. Price is a function of demand, and right now there's not a huge demand, and it's just that small shift in demand that creates substantial opportunity. There's lots of properties available. There's not that many buyers out there. And so the banks, in order to get rid of them, have to make the prices very, very attractive to the people who are in a position to buy those properties.
So your company is going out, you're buying these properties, and to create immediate cash flow, you're turning them into basically rentals.
Yeah, that's our concept. The concept is you acquire the properties. Now, some of these properties do need to be fixed up. There's some refurbishment required, but we're assessing the amount of refurbishment that's needed. We're going in, buying the property, fixing it up as quickly as possible, and then putting it into the rental market. Now, that's the nice part of the story. All those people that lost their homes because of foreclosures, they got to have a place to live. Sure. They're now renters. So we're able to put people into the properties on a rental basis, and because we're buying these properties, first of all, for cash, and secondly, at very, very good prices, we're actually getting some significant cash flow from the properties.
Well, let's talk about that in a moment. Once again, First Global Financial Corporation, FGBF is the stock symbol. For more information, please give us a call, 888-259-4449. Now, you talked about buying the properties for cash, so you're not finding yourself looking for financing. You're not funding these properties through bank finance or anything like that.
Yeah, the bank and the lending markets are still in turmoil in this country. They don't know what they're doing. They're in trouble financially. They're disorganized. They're making poor credit decisions. The people who have good credit and should be worthy of getting financing can't get it. So we're not fiddling around and wasting time with the lending markets. What we're doing is we're raising capital on an equity basis. We're buying the properties cash. That does two things for us. Number one, we can get the banks to really sharpen their pencils because they're getting cash instead of us having to go out and spend 30, 60, 90 days trying to arrange financing on the property. And secondly, it means that we can move very expeditiously. We can identify a property, put the cash up, and close escrow very fast and get that property out into the rental market.
Now, I know that we've talked before. You said that you're concentrating essentially in the middle states, the Midwest, so to speak. What's the reason for that?
The Midwest is a significantly different market than either the East Coast or the West Coast. First of all, the East Coast and the West Coast, you had substantial run-ups in value, much more so than you did in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the Midwest tends to be established communities, unlike here in, well, California is an example where they'd open up some new valley and they put in 10,000 homes in a place where nobody had ever lived. The people have no sense of community, so they start to run into financial trouble, throw the keys back to the bank, and they're off somewhere else. In the Midwest, the communities tend to be very stable. Many of the homes we're buying are in communities that have been around for 20, 30, 40 years.
You know, you're absolutely right, because of course, you know, we're producing this program in Southern California. You and I are both Southern California residents, and I can think of many, many neighborhoods that fit that description, where there was a valley or something, or they just tore up the ground, built a golf course, built like you said, 4,000 or 5,000 homes around the golf course, and 10 years ago there was cows eating grass there.
Absolutely, and by the way, these are not small projects. It's not like one development annexing another 50 lots or 100 lots. So we're talking about these developers putting up literally new cities or new towns, if you will. And there's no loyalty to that town. There's no sense of history to that town. So when it runs into trouble, people just take off and go back to wherever they came from. Not so in the Midwest, where people tend to have grown up in that community, lived in that community, and there's a sense of history and a sense of community there.
Stock symbol's FGBF, the company's first global financial corporation. For more information, please give us a call, 888-259-4449. Now, Mike, I know that your goal between now and the end of 2009 is to have about 100 properties acquired and basically turned into rentals. I know that we've been looking at your press releases these last several weeks. It seems like every week you're acquiring 2 or 3 or 4 more, whatever the case may be. As you've been acquiring these properties, have you noticed any difficulty in getting them rented?
Well, first of all, we're not having any difficulties in getting the properties rented. There is lots of renters out there. I mean, the fact is even when we have home ownership at a high in this country, there's still a substantial portion of the people who are not homeowners. They're renters, and that's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to be. The economic situation has only improved that, because now we've got even more renters. All those people who lost their homes, they need a place to live. We've got places for them to live.
Is there a prototypical house, I would say, that fits exactly what you folks are looking for? Is it like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath? I mean, is there something you say, okay, this fits our business model and this is what we're going to target?
I think we're being a little opportunistic in what we're looking at. The idea for us is to buy in what we call stable and mature communities. We're not going to be buying in a small town in the Midwest $1 million homes.
Sure.
You know, on the other hand, we're not going to be buying on the wrong side of the tracks, if you will, where there's slums and a lot of crime and things like that. But we're talking about the standard Midwest bedroom community, average income, average house price, where we can go in and get a reasonable bargain on those properties.
Now, when you read the newspapers, and we've talked about this actually at the top of the program, real estate agents are saying anything that's really good is being snapped up almost immediately. Are you doing the snapping, or are you finding yourselves in a very competitive situation?
Yeah, I kind of would liken it to the old, shooting fish in a barrel syndrome. There is so much real estate on the market. I mean, we're not talking about 1,000 or 2,000 or even 10,000. We're talking hundreds of thousands of properties in the United States where the owners have simply thrown the keys back to the bank. I can't make the mortgage payment. I'm out of here. And there just isn't that much demand. First of all, you're talking about snapping up properties. Most people don't have the cash to snap up properties. And if you're going to go and borrow the money to buy one of those properties, now you're dealing with the banking system, which we already talked about is in turmoil. And yes, if you've got $1 million sitting in the bank, they'll give you a great loan. But my gosh, if you have any blip on your credit history, a late payment, a credit card that's maxed out, you're not going to get that mortgage. It's all a facade. And the programs that are out there designed to help people, they're designed to help the people who are already in their homes and can't make the payments, not to allow the people to snap up new properties.
Once again, First Global Financial Corporation, FGBF is the stock symbol. Mike, great business model. Thanks for bringing us the story.
Well, thanks for having me.